Now we look at AI-powered automation and access network planning. Please come to the stage Nick Holcomb, Director, Access Network Engineering, Mediacom Communications, and Ian Oliver, Technology and Project Consultant at Globema.
The automation we're talking about very quickly is to take the existing physical network inventory, as in the digital model of the network, pull it into a design engine, apply a new network architecture, so a higher mid-split 1.8 FDX, apply those rules to the existing network, and create a preliminary design for the new network architecture. Bill of materials, drawing on a map, RF level check, and essentially something that a really good human engineer would produce. The idea, though, is to do that in minutes, not months. So that's the world we're talking about in terms of automation in what Nick and I have been caring about for the last 6 years.
6 for you, yes.
Yeah, 6 for me. So why did Mediacom get started down the road of using automation for the network upgrade design work?
It really comes down to the minutes to months transition. Just like you mentioned, so Mediacom is 22 states that we cover and an expansive network. A lot of it is HFC and more fiber. The HFC portions of our networks were needing to be segmented, node densified, as our CTO likes to call them. And so normally the process would be to start counting homes by hand. And come to a number and then drop a node in and then start counting. Can I add another leg? What can I do? Mediacom had the standards that we wanted to design to, but it's a lot of counting and it's really tedious, boring work that needs to be done to get that corrected. The product that we went with has the ability to do that for us and then intelligently place out those nodes at predefined service group levels and then apply correct configurations or rule sets against that to move forward with. So we were able to save time in the beginning, and then we're also able to get that. The other part of it is to change the profile, RF profile, to the new equipment, and that's what that gets us then on the back end to where I walk away from it with that well-developed design that I can very quickly turn around and get in the hands of a contractor to go hang fiber, go add actives, go add nodes, and segment the network.
So the time savings were in 2 parts. One, the upfront planning and design to get to a capital expenditure decision.
Yep.
And with that decision, then deliver a design that's about 80% drafted to the folks who are going to do the construction prints.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what has worked out well so far, and what are you seeing as the benefits beyond what we just mentioned?
So the tool works really well that we use, and we call it an AI design assistant fairly regularly, and it is the way that we think of it. Recently, there was an announcement about a 1.8 gig ultra high split. Normally, I would have designed that myself. And Ian and I were talking earlier today about my first inclination when I need to go figure something out is to grab a piece of paper and a pencil and a calculator and work through the math. In this case, I thought this is a great opportunity, so I built the rule set for 1.8 for the test area that we did, and I ran it through the design assistant, and within minutes I had this notice design the way that it needs to go. I was able to then look at that, proof the bill of materials, because the node that we had turned up was it's the first of its kind. So I wanted to be really careful with that. So I manually then kind of back-ended my way into the work to make sure it was right, and I trusted it. And it did. It did exactly what I needed to do. I was able to generate that bomb, send it off. We use it routinely in our network upgrades now. Mediacom has a huge investment that we're doing to add 1.2.204 upgrades, and we're converting those over to doing 1.8 396 upgrades as we can get the materials for those to move forward with. So I knew the tool could do it. I just wanted to see it do something that was really near and dear to my heart with the other project that we were working on. So that's what we get out of it.
Cool. So what didn't go as planned? What wasn't working the way you wanted it to, or maybe still isn't working the way you wanted it to?
So I think one of the previous presenters talked about having to have iterative design. And I think that one of the things that's been great with working on the software that we have with Globema is we don't have a giant dev shop internally at Mediacom. So having people who really understand that side of things was really helpful for us. And it helps make up that deficit for us. We're great at RF and we're great at optical. We're all right with writing software, and some of us are really good at it, but they have real jobs. So us RF guys, we needed help. And you guys did a good job with that. But there's still a couple things that are on the shopping list. So tap conditioning is a big one when you go to 1.8. And that's something that we're working on getting implemented into the system. The way that we're doing some of our powering changes, things like that, those are still in progress. And actually it's great to have that partnership, because I said, hey, this is what we need to do. This is what my idea is. And they came back and said, here, this is a sketch outline. We were thinking about this too. So I think that that's really important as well.
Cool. Just a bit of color. One of the fellows who uses the system constantly is an old cable dog. And at one point early on, he said, well, there's no reason why this shouldn't work. And I told him today, I'm really glad you said that, because I was at the point of thinking, I don't think this is ever going to work. And we were writing the code. So it took some faith and a lot of patience and a bunch of old cable dogs actually committing to it. It worked. So what future opportunities do you see? What additional functionality? I mean, we just touched on tap conditioning and doing the HFC powering analysis.
Yeah, so I think fiber to home is going to become a bigger and bigger thing. I know it's kind of a dirty word. We're cable companies, but fiber to home is out there. It's something that has a lot of value to it. So being able to leverage the same thing for new construction and fiber to home, it's the same logic that needs to apply with a different set of rules for the most part. And then for greenfield construction, because there's nothing there already, it has to make the paths instead of following a predefined path or an already established path. The cool thing with this tool in particular is that it does have to add paths already. It does have to know, hey, I can turn things around. And I think that was a major accomplishment when we got that portion of it working. Hey, I can turn this amp around and feed it a different direction, and it works better. So, but that was one of those other of why isn't it doing this? And they're like, oh, we didn't even know it needed to. And so then the next version came out and it did exactly what we needed it to.
So this question is a little less specific to the tool at hand and how Mediacom is using it, but a little broader in terms of the industry. So what do you see in terms of the biggest implications of this approach to network design for the industry at large, good and bad? And what would you do about it?
So the speed at which tools such as this can do their thing, or AI in general can do the things that we ask them to do or we train them to do, is a major benefit. There's a benefit in time. There's a benefit in the mundane tasks no longer becoming somebody's full-time job. And we can take those people and we can re-leverage those people into the workforce in different ways. So for drawbacks, one of the other presenters mentioned this too. So we are getting rid of those early positions within the industry that will never learn to grab a piece of paper and a pencil and a calculator to go do the math, to know why we're doing what we're doing. And I think we still have those people out there. We have them doing different jobs now. But we need to take those people into our engineering organizations, and we need to really wrap our arms around them and carry them along That way, so it might not be their day job to count houses, but we need to know why we count houses, and we need to teach them why we count these houses and what impact it has on the network. We need to teach them to code. That way, so they can write the run books, I think is what he was saying. That way, so they can go forward with that. That I know of, there isn't really a school for a degree in cable TV. I mean, we come from a really diverse background with a lot of different people. And it's an amazing industry because we have organizations like, here's the shameless SCTE plug, the SCTE that brings us all together to do things like this and talk. So we need to take the young people and bring them in that way so they get exposed to this. I competed in the cable tech games 10 years ago, I think, as a technician, and today I'm up here talking with you about network design. And I love that about our industry, and we need to preserve that. And that's one of the things that I think AI can run out if we allow it to.
Yeah, good point. So looking back over the last several years, and then the journey Mediacom's been on, if you knew then what you know now, what would you have done differently?
So when I first got involved with the AI design tool and the development of that product and that process, I wish that I would have taken the time to learn more sooner, because I speak cable guy really well. I don't necessarily speak computer programmer really well, and I had to learn to bridge that gap. And it's a skill that I think we've probably all learned because we have diverse backgrounds, so we're used to bridging gaps. But I think it took a while for me to realize that that's really what we needed to do. And then once I did that and was able to communicate differently with the designers, it made a big impact on the speed at which we were able to get things corrected. And then because I could talk to the internal Mediacom RF guys and then the external design team and really bring together the needs of what we needed.
And by design, you mean software design?
Software design, yes. Software design.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Just as there's a culture of design in this industry, the cable industry, there's a culture of design in the software industry, and they're different.
Oh, yes.
It's a different world. But to get the requirements stated clearly in terms that can be broken down and then coded was pretty interesting, which is where a lot of the expert AI system came in. We've just got a bit of time left, but one of the interesting things in working with, again, folks who've been doing this for decades, this being outside plant design, we would take the stated design requirements and the rules and apply them and put them up on a big screen. And somebody would walk through the room to get coffee and go, yeah, it's crap. And out the door, gone. And then they'd come back with a cup of coffee and say, that should be there, that should be there, that should be there. This would be here. I wouldn't do that. I would do this, and there would be that. And then they'd leave. And we're like, did anybody write that down? Because we need to know. And it took years to get it to the point where now when some of the folks who can do this with sort of optical pattern recognition in their frontal lobes will look at the results and go, yep, that's what we need to do. And again, the point was, we need to make a management decision on a lot of capital expenditure, and we cannot take months to do it. We got minutes, maybe weeks. And having made that decision, we're not going to spend years drafting this stuff because we've got crews ready to go and we've got purchase orders out there. And it's accelerated the process, I think, quite a bit. So
it absolutely has.
Yeah. 33 seconds. You want to go get a beer?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay, good. Thank you, folks.
We have time for questions if you want to take questions.
Yeah, we can take a couple of questions. Nick can take a couple of questions.
Why do we need to take questions? Is there questions?
Any questions?
Okay.
I'm just curious, if you provide any of the automation thinking to the red line / as-built end of the process too. So I'm on the consuming that data side of things, and we often run into challenges where there's potentially weeks of time between when that data gets updated to reality. So I'm just curious if you've applied any of that at the end of the process.
So, go ahead.
No, that would be a shameless plug.
So we've talked about it a little bit. Right now, the way that we're doing things, we don't do that for redlining. Redlining is done as a manual task currently, and it would be interesting to be able to get an AI to do it. It would be difficult to train, I think, because it has to look at things a little bit differently than what's in the database and then apply a rule set to that. It would have to look at, this is a correction that needs to be made, and then make sure that it works.
From the shameless plug side of the world,
Absolutely.
a big part of what Globema does. Oh, I'm going to sit.
All right.
It's been a long day.
It has. It's the longest Monday ever.
Why are these people all here?
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay. The loop around from the red line from the field back into the digital twin. I'll use the term digital twin because it seems to be the right one these days. That's a big part of what the company I'm with, Globema, works to close and provide tools to close. And there are a lot of opportunities for automating that return of the red line and getting it into a process where the drawing doesn't stay behind the seats in the pickup truck for 6 months, or in a pile of PDFs in some folder somewhere that no one looks at. And it's probably the next logical step of the evolution to close that loop. And in my own experience, I've been involved in a lot of really, really major builds and used the technologies of the day, information technologies of the day, to build the data set that describes the real thing, and then try and keep that data set current. And the good thing is we've got better tools now than we've ever had before. And AI is all, the various flavors of AI are all in that tool set. But it really comes down to having humans who will work the process. So anything that can be done to make it more intuitive and easier for a human to do it the right way, as opposed to do it later but actually never, that's going to close the loop. A useful answer? Cheers. 1 minute, 50 seconds. What do you want to do with it?
I'm still down for the beer.
Beer. Yeah, we're thinking beer. Okay, we'll get out of the way. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.